this video is going to take you from wherever you are now to that little bit closer to where you want to be. Everybody wants to get rich in a bull market, but there's an unspoken truth that I think nobody tells you about. And I think keeping this secret influences how you trade or invest, and quite frankly, it also keeps you poor. The 2024 bull market is my third cycle. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you why I got into crypto, how I made it through 3 cycles without giving up, and where the genuine wealth actually comes from. So I'm going to give you a really quick backstory, but as I do that, be sure to smash like on this video, because the more engagement that this video gets, the more it tells YouTube that more people should be watching this type of content. So I first heard about cryptocurrency in late 2016. I was joining Facebook groups to learn about the stock market and just happened to notice someone talking about Bitcoin, was really kind of intrigued by it and decided, to make my first purchase in Bitcoin. Now, in those days, it wasn't as easy to buy as it is now. I remember going to an ATM and I deposited $100 to some random bank account, had to go home, email those details, and then I ended up with Bitcoin in my wallet. I mean, I really could have just sent money to a random and never seen anything, but luckily enough, I did receive the Bitcoin. And so my first purchase was only $100. I don't remember what the price of Bitcoin was at the time. I just remember I spent $100 just to see how it would go. But then after that, I found an Australian broker where you could buy cryptocurrencies online, and that's where I started to dabble into altcoins, and it was a much, much easier process. But I had no idea what I was doing, so I would just see random altcoins mentioned in Facebook groups and I would just buy whatever was mentioned. Like, no research, didn't understand anything about it whatsoever. I would just see people say, oh, this altcoin is good, and I would just go and buy it. And in the end, I think I put in about $500, and really soon after that, it turned into $4,000. And I remember thinking, wow, I could pay my rent with this. And so that was enough to show me the power of cryptocurrency, and I was in from that moment on. And in that first cycle, all I did was spot trade. So I didn't even know what leverage was. I don't even know if it was available back then, but I would just buy things, wait till they went up in price and sell them, and then buy the next thing. And that was pretty much the extent of my ability in crypto. But the process of doing it kept me really, really busy. And at the time, I owned 3 businesses of my own, and I'd also franchised my company. So I had 5 franchisees that I needed to manage, and it was really a lot of work. I couldn't keep up with everything. And because cryptocurrency was the hobby, it was the hobby that had to go in order to be able to focus on the business. So I remember it so clearly. It was about a week before Christmas in 2017. And I was at the peak of frustration because the business that I had was in the fitness industry. And usually in December, the fitness industry gets really quite slow. People are too busy, and so they're not really thinking about their health or keeping fit. They're out at Christmas parties and end of work parties and things like that. So you always have to think of marketing things that you can do to try and bring people in that period, or you have to do sales to keep your current customers coming back and all that sort of thing. It's a really difficult period. So I was in my peak of frustration trying to work out how am I going to bring revenue into my company, but also come up with ideas that my franchisees could use so that they could increase their revenue as well. And then on top of all that, I had to feel like I was constantly managing this crypto, because this was in the final, I didn't know it at the time, but eventually now I know that it was the blow off top phase. It's the period where just every day you wake up and you're hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands of dollars richer, and you just can't take your eyes off it. So in my peak of frustration, I was like, that's it, crypto has to go. And I just sold everything so that I could focus on my business. And lo and behold, the very next day, the peak of that cycle was in, and everything crashed from that moment on. So I got very lucky in that cycle, and I didn't look at crypto again probably for about another year. Now, if you understand the cycle, you usually have about a year or so of a bull market, and then about a year or so can be, 12 to 18 months, let's say, of a bear market, and then we go into this long 12 to 18 month accumulation period. So when I came back to crypto, it would have been around the bottom of the bear market following that cycle, but I didn't know that. I just had a look at the price, and at the time I think it was around $4,000, and I remember it had gotten up to $20,000, and to me that was an absolute bargain. But now I knew more about crypto, so I knew what altcoins were good and things like that, so I could dabble in more than Bitcoin, but I wasn't just buying random altcoins because I saw them in a Facebook group anymore. I had some knowledge by this time. So it was around that time that I decided to get back into cryptocurrency, and this time I wanted to learn to trade it. So I'd learned that there was this thing called leverage. I'd learned that you could make money from trading to the upside as well as trading to the downside, which was not something that I even knew about prior to that. The idea of making money whilst the price is dropping was very, very foreign to me. So I learned all of these things, and I really realized, like, this is an amazing way. I believe in crypto because I've seen what it's done. You know, I believe that the price was amazing at that point in time, and you know, I believed that it would reach back to its previous highs again in the future. So I went into a crazy study mode of trying to learn how to trade. I did a million courses. I did private one-to-one sessions with mentors that I would follow on Twitter or YouTube that I just thought were really amazing and really knew what they were doing. I can't even tell you how many YouTube videos I would have watched, not to mention monitoring the market. It was a minimum 13, 14 hours a day just watching candlesticks to learn how the market moved and what mattered. And so after all of this knowledge, I kind of realized, okay, I've learned what everybody else learns. I need to know what people don't learn. I need to know what I don't know. And in learning what I don't know, that's where I think I got my edge. So learning what really moves the markets, how to identify when that is about to happen. You know, a lot of the stuff, if you happen to watch me on this channel, you'll see me talk about it a lot when I'm doing technical analysis updates, just talking about who's behind the move and when we can expect that move to happen. That was what gave me an edge over my trading. So fast forward a few months, nearly a year, and Bitcoin breaks out of its low range, and it's now ranging between about 7K to about 12K, kind of ranged in that area for really quite some time. And then one day, just out of nowhere, it just massive crash. We didn't know what it was at the time. Turned out that was the announcement of COVID, and it crashed back down to around about $4,000. And that was the life-changing moment for me. Because I had learned what I had learned and studied as hard as I did, when I saw Bitcoin at $4,000, I was in a leveraged short position already. So it was a celebration that I was making money as it crashed, but something clicked in my mind that said, you are never going to get Bitcoin this cheap ever again. Buy whatever you can now. When I say that, that was an extremely scary moment for me. I was not in a position at that point in time where I could spend money on crypto. Like, I didn't have just disposable income or massive savings. I just didn't have, you know, this pool of money waiting to buy a dip. You know, I wasn't prepared for it. It was an in the moment decision where I was like, just buy it and figure it out later. And there was something that just came over me that just when you're never going to get this opportunity again, you're never going to see it at $4,000 again. And I think that thought came to me because a lot of people, because I was in cryptocurrency, a lot of people would often say to me, oh, what happens if it goes to zero? And my response to that, you know, to my friends who are non-believers in crypto, my response was always, how cheap would Bitcoin have to be in order for you to just take a gamble on it? And everybody had a price. Whether it was $1,000, $3, $4, $5, whatever it was, everyone had a number. And the fact that everyone has a number, even if they're not a believer in it, that was enough proof to me that it was never going to go to zero, because basically everybody was willing to take a gamble on it should it come to a particular price. So when I saw that COVID crash number, that thought clicked in my head. What is the price that you would take a gamble on it? It's here. The price is here. Just take the chance and go for it and figure it out later. Little did I know at the time that would change my life. You know, we all hear the statement, buy when others are fearful, buy when there's blood in the streets. You know, we all hear that sort of stuff, but many people will not actually take action on that. And that's why we end up staying in the same place. So that purchase essentially kicked off my second cycle, which I didn't know that at the time, but essentially that's what happened. And that's when I decided to take cryptocurrency super, super seriously. And when I say that, what I mean is that's when I started to learn to seriously trade, and trade a lot, and build up the hours that it takes and build up the knowledge and the experience and everything else, that's when I decided to play absolutely full out, because I wasn't in a position where I had a lot of money to keep pouring into the market. So my only option to make the money was to become good at trading, to become a good disciplined trader with a clear strategy so that I could be consistently profitable and I could compound those gains to continue to create wealth. It was really my only option. And so if you watch this channel, you know how that turned out, right? Because I am a full-time trader now. So that skill took me through the next cycle, through the next bull market, and basically history repeated. In that cycle, I actually ended up selling out most of my portfolio 4 days before the peak of the bull market. And there is actually a video on this channel because I had started a YouTube channel in that cycle, being this one that you're watching right now. And I would just teach a few things here and there. I didn't have what I have now. I didn't have my own business around teaching crypto or a community or anything like that. I would just share some stuff because I just wanted to. In that video, Bitcoin had gone to 75K, came back to 30, and then had gone back again to like 60 or whatever it was, and everybody was convinced it was going to 100K. And I put out a video saying my exit strategy, and basically no one watched it because nobody wanted to hear about exiting crypto at that time. 4 days later, turned out it was the peak of the cycle and I was mostly clear of it. Most of my altcoins were all sold off, but I never ever sell Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's a whole other story, probably for another video if you want to know my strategy around that and why I never sell them. Also, probably this cycle, Solana is going to get added to that plan. But yeah, if you want to know that particular plan and why I never sell those things, just leave a comment down below and I can do another video on that one. But it is very much part of an investment and a long-term retirement portfolio strategy. So then moving on, the profits from that cycle were then held on to in cold storage throughout the bear market. And once I felt the bear market was kind of bottoming out and we were going to go into an accumulation phase, that entire amount of profit from the cycle before went into this cycle. And this is the unspoken truth that I want to talk to you about. So now that you know the backstory, let me explain what I meant when I said to you before, most of what you're told is designed to keep you poor. I got into crypto because I wanted to make money. I wanted to get rich. Pretty much why we all get into crypto. I wanted the mansions and the supercars and the private jets, and I wanted to be able to make money that didn't depend on a business or a job or basically me exchanging my time for money. And crypto seemed to be the answer for me. I was seeing people make extreme amounts of wealth and, you know, I thought maybe that could be me too. My second reason for getting into crypto is because besides believing in it, I'm just a natural educator. Like I really enjoy learning something, seeing and testing how that improves my life, and then passing that information on to other people so that they can experience the same things that I do. It brings me a lot of joy to share what I know and then see how that improves other people's lives. And so I thought if I get really good at crypto, maybe that is information that I can share and that will help a lot of people. And so here we are today where I have a company, Trade, Travel, Chill, you may know it. And that's what I do essentially. I get to share this knowledge here on YouTube for the mass audience, but I also get to share it in my private community where I can go into a lot more detail, and people who really want to deep dive on the details and follow a process will come to learn that in a really structured way. And that's how I get to see people progress in their life and see their lives improve as a result of something that I've learned that helped me that is now also helping them. But 3 cycles later, there's still no mansion, there's still no supercars, there's still no private jets. But I tell you what I do have. I have knowledge, I have wisdom, I have experience, and I have a plan. And that's my reason for making this video today, because if you want to get really rich in crypto, this video is going to take you from wherever you are now to that little bit closer to where you want to be. And the truth is, it takes more than one cycle, but it's what you do in those cycles that is going to make all the difference. So let's get into it. I call your first cycle the apprenticeship. It is the one where you are likely to fall for all the scams. You're likely to chase the next meme coin. You're likely to buy anything that you hear about on social media. You're likely to lose funds. You're likely to have big euphoric masses of profits and then followed by really painful drops in price. You're likely to buy high and you're likely to sell low. You're literally going to make all the mistakes. And that is why it's an apprenticeship.
Attention traders, the BITGET KCGI competition is just days away and you don't want to miss out on this incredible opportunity. With a total prize pool of up to 5 million USDT, the largest allocation is dedicated to the team battle. That means your best chance to win big is by joining a team. 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗃 has assembled a top-notch team for this competition. Not only will you boost your chances of securing a portion of that massive prize pool, but team members will also get exclusive access to our trade alert. Join our team now and secure yourself a 20% trading fee discount for life with BITGET. To take advantage of this exclusive offer, head to the description below this video and follow the instructions. This is the only way to get on our team. So don't miss out. Join 𝗟𝗶𝗃𝗃 and let's conquer the BITGET KCGI competition together.
But if you stick with it after that first cycle, you have a chance. This is the cycle that most people give up. They can't take the pain of constantly things not working out, losing money, feeling like they're too dumb to understand it when they don't realize that it's got nothing to do with being dumb. It's just your learning journey and your mind is expanding and your knowledge is growing and you cannot speed up time. You have to go through that apprenticeship. And the worst part is when you try to do that apprenticeship alone, because most of your friends won't believe in crypto when you do. And so most of the time when you're going through pain, they're going to call you an idiot or they're going to tell you, I told you so. And it's just going to make you feel even worse. Now, if you happen to walk away from your apprenticeship with any money at all, it's basically luck. But the better thing that you will likely walk away with is the lessons. And like I said, if you learn from those lessons and don't give up, then you have a chance in crypto. Because your first cycle can be really brutal. Your money is everybody else's target and you don't know what you're doing yet. Like, that's the reality of it. But like I said, if you walk away from that cycle, you now understand that crypto has cycles, right? You understand that crypto is generally a 4-year cycle. And you know that after a bull market, there's a bear market. And after a bear market, there's an accumulation phase. And then the cycle starts again. And so you kind of know. And the thing with crypto cycles is they're very forgiving. If they're only 4 years, it's really not that long before you get a second chance. When you compare it to the property market, and property is an 18-year cycle, if you were to buy in the blow-off top phase of the property cycle, that's 18 years before your property comes back to what you bought it at. That can be very, very painful. But crypto is forgiving and it's maybe a year of pain, and if you get up and you try again, it's really not that long before you can not only make back whatever pain you went through, but then get better and make more money from it. So when I got back into crypto for my second cycle, this is what I realized, and this is when I decided to take it a lot more seriously, to get a lot better educated, to actually have a plan this time, not just follow things that I saw on Facebook groups or other social media, but actually have a plan and create a plan that would get me through the entire phase of the cycle. And so after trading basically like a maniac through the accumulation phase, I then spent the bull market, taking profits all the way up. Like I mentioned, was out of that cycle just a few days before the peak for most of my portfolio. But after that second cycle, there was still no mansions, still no supercars, still no private jet. But having said that, my goals had also changed. So I no longer wanted those things anymore. I now more understand the life that I want. And my goal changed from wanting those sorts of things. I realized I never really actually wanted them anyway in the first place. I just wanted to be rich. But what I really want is to build a global property portfolio, and I want to collect different citizenships around the world. That's security to me, it's protection. It's just an important part of my life. But also as you may know if you watch this channel, I love to travel a lot. But when I travel, I like to stay in places for a decent amount of time so I can really get to learn the culture and see a lot of different things that I wouldn't see if I was just a short-term sort of tourist. And sometimes I like to just go and stay in different environments that inspire me and I'm very big into manifestation and things like that. So sometimes I want a city life, sometimes I want a beach life, sometimes I want a jungle life. Like I want different things at different times. So if I build a global property portfolio, then it's just a matter of picking where I feel like being for the next few months. And whenever I'm not there, I can just put those places on short-term rental. So that became my plan from the last cycle. But anyway, I digress. The point being, I didn't reach that goal in the last cycle. And here's why. I was still a victim of the thought that you didn't need to put much money in to make exponential gains. And that's simply not true. I'm sure you hear all the time if you're in crypto, oh, life-changing money, life-changing money. Yeah, but not if you're putting in $100 to start with. That's the reality of it. You will not turn $100 into hundreds of million dollars. It just won't happen. But that doesn't mean you should give up, and that doesn't mean if you don't have money you can't make money. That just means you need a better plan, which is what I came up with. It's what I've been doing, and now I'm going to give it to you. And I'm telling you, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. Here's how the plan goes. You spend your first cycle making as much money as you can. When you feel like that cycle is peaking out, you take those profits. And you take those profits and you hold on to them. You put them in cold storage, you know, in a stable coin, whatever it is. You can even transfer it back into fiat bank account if you want to. It doesn't really matter, but you want to hold it in something stable. Then you want to take a decent amount of your trading portfolio and you want to short Bitcoin on a Bitcoin USDT contract. Why? Because you'll be accumulating USDT on the way down. A low leverage, long-term contract, accumulate the USDT, hold that for as long as you possibly can. When the bear market seems to have bottomed out, you now have a whole lot more USDT because you shorted Bitcoin the whole way down. Plus you have your profits from the prior cycle that you've been keeping in cold storage. And this is where the exponential gains will come in. When that next cycle bear market bottoms out, that is when you deploy everything you made in the cycle before. And it has to be scary. But here's the thing. You have to also understand that what you're putting back into the next cycle is prior profits. It's not money out of your pocket. It shouldn't come from loans. It shouldn't come from selling other assets that you have that are, you know, still giving you a capital gain or something like that. It shouldn't come from anywhere else. It should come from prior profits from the prior cycle, because that is essentially free money. You didn't have to work for it. You didn't have to get a loan for it. It's no interest or anything like that. It is free money that's been sitting there for the purpose of reinvesting it when the time is right. And the time is right when you see that accumulation phase after a 1 year or so bear market of the prior cycle. Once you do that, you now have a hell of a lot more money in the next cycle, and that is what can turn into the exponential money that can buy you the things that you want to buy or give you the life that you wanted to live. And all you have to do is keep a level head about it and know that once Bitcoin breaks out and we go to new all-time highs, you're just taking little bits of profit along the way, which will end up being a hell of a lot more profit than the prior cycle. Because let's just say you could have cashed out at a 10x or something like that. You've got a lot more money, and now that money that 10x in the first cycle is now doing another 10, 20, 30, who knows how much X depending on what you invest in this cycle. That's where you can lead to exponential money. You don't even have to get the bottom of the bear market. You know the 4-year cycle. You just need to be around about right and start slowly putting that capital back in, and just know that you are close enough. And then it's just a matter of waiting. And the reason that you know this is because now you understand the cycle. And if you do it this way, you actually could skip the apprenticeship. If you create a plan like this, steal my plan. You don't have to start from scratch. I literally just gave it to you. You could skip the apprenticeship and go straight to first cycle, take profit, hold it, deploy in the accumulation phase, sell on the way up of the second cycle, and go live your dreams. And if you want to know if this works or not, we have not even hit alt season yet for this cycle, and I've already purchased 2 of my global properties. One of them will be fully paid off in December of this year. Neither of them needed a mortgage. This works, but it takes guts and it takes time. If you need help working on your portfolio, myself and my team are available for private bookings. I will leave the link down below.